Hi. It feels really good to talk to you. Okay, so I just went bigger and I saw more of the triad. So this is breaking down the 12 perspectives. At first, when I started this, I saw only the first 8 perspectives. That is what Dr. Graves introduced. He was like, here are the 8 perspectives. He called it the stages of growth and spiral dynamics. That's what he called it. I went, these aren't the stages of growth. These are perspectives. These are the 12 perspectives. Well, these are the 8 perspectives. Now, according to spiral dynamics, you basically see 9 and then you see the 9 in the plus, which he's basically saying these are the 8, and that's as far as he got. He couldn't figure out the ethics from the others. And he broke down basically the linear progress of how each one of us learns. And I mean, this is textbook. Every single one of us learns the same ethics in the same order, supposedly at the same age group, or approximately around the same age group. But because of all of the trauma, it goes really bad, really fast. And then we end up unlearning what ethics we've internalized, and or we never learn them to begin with, which is why the world is a shithole. So here's basically how it works out. I went through, well, once I had that information, he literally gave me all the information I needed to take my triadic healing and plug in the rest. I had all the information. Basically, my triadic healing is the how to evolve from each one of these stages. I just didn't realize that they were ethical stages that I was developing or that I was evolving through. I just knew how to do it. So when I went through my healing journey, I documented it all and then I analyzed it and I basically broke it all down and then I rinsed and repeat. So one session of my triadic healing will put you through one entire perspective. And then you rinse and repeat it and it will get you to the second one. So when I learned Dr. Graves's spiral dynamics, I was able to go, oh, this is the stages defined of each one of these that I go through. And I realized that there were, well, according to his work, 9 plus stages. Or, yeah, 9 plus stages. He wasn't sure, because that's as far as he got. Well, then it's logical deduction. It comes out to 12. And I'll get into that later. But what I wanted to focus on was I noticed there was a significant difference between the first 6 stages. And I'm currently I'm wrapping up the 10th stage now. So, and then you have basically 7 through what I'm hypothesizing will be 12. So there's the first 6, the first 12, and then I think there's going to be a third because everything's coming out to be a triad, so it's really 18. So it's 1 through 6, and then 7 through 12, and then I'm hypothesizing it's going to be 13 to 18. I'm not sure yet. This is my big question mark, which means, yeah, I don't know yet. We'll figure this out. Now, the 1 through 6 is basically the man stage. The 7 through 12 is the God stage. Now, I think 13 and 18 is going to be the energy stage. I believe that we literally materialize into pure energy at that point, which is what happened to Christ. He reached the 12th stage, and at the 13th, he literally became pure energy. A hypothesis. So, 1 through 6 is basically when you master the art of man, and 7 through 12 is when you master the art of God. So, here's how this works. 1 through 6 basically provide you with the 6 ethics of man. And once you get these 6 ethics down, you have mastered humanity. You have mastered the art of being a man. Not man as in gender, but human. Then, after starting at the 7th perspective, you basically step into your God self. That's what I refer to it as, where you gain access to a different mindset, a completely different focal point, which I will just talk about here in a moment. But it's still, we'll talk about that in a moment. And I'm hypothesizing that 13 to 18 is energy. So here's how this works. I thought it was 1 through 6, and I've been studying these basic 6 stages for quite a while now. Oh, quite a while. What am I talking about? 3 months. 3 months. This is 3 months worth of work. So I've been studying the ethics, and what I've noticed is a lot of patterns. A lot of patterns. For instance, the first 4 ethics are that's what I call foundationals. And then I noticed that 5 and 6 are transitional. And I refer to this age group as cultivators. I'll explain in a minute. And then there is 7 plus, and 7 plus is the visionaries. That's what I refer to as visionaries. Now, if you are a 1 through 4 perspective, you are a foundational. This is basically you build society. You physically, manually build society. And a cultivator teaches. These are the people who teach the foundationals. And the visionaries are the people who create, they're the engineers of the society. And they are the ones who basically create the blueprints. They should be the ones in politics. They should be the ones in charge because they're smart, they're visionaries, and they understand the big picture of how society functions. Unfortunately, we have a bunch of foundationals running the world. Hence all the war. Now, once you get to perspective 5, violence stops. There is no violence, there is no aggression after stage 5 because you've learned the first 5 ethics, which is the problem. Which means, as society evolves, war will end. Once the majority of the people on the planet shift from perspective 4 and move into perspective 6, which is happening now, we are going to see the end of war. It actually happens very naturally. Now that we're consciously aware of it, it will happen much faster. So, I will talk about that later in Operation Imagination. That's how we get to world peace. It actually is a process that happens quite naturally, but by understanding what's going on and how to do it, we can get there faster. And hopefully, if we get there fast enough, we can prevent the worst of the war. So here's how this works. 1 through 4 is foundationals, and these are basically people who build a society. They are the ones who don't like change. They prioritize comfort over growth. That's really it. They value comfort. Now, 5s are transitional. 6 and higher value growth more than comfort. People who are in the 4th perspective or lower, they don't value education. They actually are anti-education. And the 4th perspectives are the people who say, well, according to society and law and the rules, we have to have education, so we have education. But they don't prioritize it. They just say we have to follow the rules, and they prioritize the following of the rules. As a result, the rules are we have to have education, so we have education. You change that rule, and they will go along with the changing of the rule because they don't self-govern. Perspective 5s are that cusp. They are literally the divided. They're the ones who either will choose to follow the foundationals or they will choose to follow the visionaries. That's it really right there. People who decide they want to be teachers fall into the 5th perspective. People who want to own their own businesses fall into the 5th perspective. People who want to change the world fall into the 6th perspective and up. As soon as you fall into the 6th perspective, you value growth, which means you are going to evolve into the visionary stage. If you are a 6th perspective, you're not going to stay there for very long. You're going to evolve. But in order to evolve, you have to fix your emotional and mental garbage first. And that's where Triadic Healing comes in. So 5 and 6 is also the healing stage. That's where healing begins. No one under the 5th perspective cares about healing. They just don't. People who are between 1 and 4th perspective do not prioritize healing. So there's no self-work happening over there. Now, if you tell them to do self-work, if the majority or the law changes, then they will change. They require law and order to change because they will shift with the law. But they're also the ones currently in charge. You see the problem? They need somebody to actually govern them. And this is why we're stuck in the societal loop. That's it right there. So when the 5th and the 6th basically take over, it's an evolutional takeover. It's not, there's not going to be a conflict. It's just, oh, this is morbid, but basically baby boomers are the majority right now because of the population. And the majority of baby boomers are 4th perspective. So when the baby boomers pass away and the population shifts, so you're going to see a drop in baby boomers, the 4th perspective is finally going to be significantly lower in population in comparison to the 5th and 6th perspectives. 5th perspectives are millennials. Gen X is 5th perspective or 4th perspective. We are transitional. Gen X is the transitional, just like the 5th perspective is transitional. So you see a lot of Gen Xs who are splitting and dividing. Some Gen Xs are foundationals, and they're going with the 4ths. Some 5th perspectives are going with the millennials, and they value growth. And it all depends upon whether or not you value comfort or whether or not you value growth. Once you decide which one you prioritize, that determines which way you're going to go. I prioritize growth, so I went with the millennials, I went with the sixth perspective, and that shifted me over into the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, etc. Whereas if you are a Gen X and you value your comfort more than growth, you're going to lean toward the 4th perspective. So once we see basically the population change due to the passing of the baby boomers, that is when there's going to be a massive shift. And millennials, the majority of whom are 5th and 6th perspectives, are going to immediately shift the priority. The priority will shift. That's when change happens. The priority is going to go from preserve the comfort zone. And that's the current priority right now. Save the comfort zone. Now, that priority, that agenda, it is literally the societal agenda. That societal agenda is going to change when the baby boomers pass away. And when that change happens, the priority is going to become save the planet, grow. It's going to stop being save the comfort zone, and it's going to be save the planet. Save the world, embrace change. You're going to see a massive shift in, this I love, you're going to see a massive shift in prioritizing education, prioritizing growth, prioritizing the planet. What we're also going to see, what we're also going to see is accountability. That is a 5th perspective ethic, is self-accountability. Understanding and accepting that our actions affect everybody and everything. And we are also going to see self-government. That is a lesson, that's the ethic you learn at the 4th perspective. So at the 4th perspective, you gain self-accountability. And then at the 5th perspective, you learn self-accountability. Once you learn those 2 ethics, along with the first 3, everything changes. And because millennials are being born at self-government, because the 5th perspective is already established at self-government, now they just have to learn accountability, which is why most millennials are not accountable, is because they are in the process of learning the 5th perspective. So once they learn self-accountability, that will shift them into the 6th perspective. That lesson is different. And then that's really when change is going to take place. That's really when it's going to kickstart everything. This is the natural evolution of human condition. This is the natural evolution. We technically don't need to do anything. It's just going to do it. The difference is with my triadic healing, with the healing garden, I'm just the conscious awareness that steps in and say, by the way, this is the explanation. That's all I'm doing. I'm providing conscious awareness. So as I provide conscious awareness through triadic healing, now, because we are consciously aware, we're not doing it at the mercy of ignorance. That's what's going to cause the change. That's really going to supercharge this. So it's going to happen regardless. Triadic healing and the healing garden just supercharges it. It's like super fuel. That's all it is. It's super fuel for society. And the goal is to supercharge it to the point where we evolve faster than the war evolves. That's really what it comes down to. Which one of us is going to evolve faster? The war or our evolution? That's really what it's coming down to. So once we shift that priority, once the overall societal agenda changes from save the comfort zone, resist the change, that's going to change over to save the world, embrace the change, and we are going to start adventuring into the concept of the growth stage and or adventuring into basically the unknown. The unknown is no longer going to become a fear. We are officially leaving the dark ages. That's what that is. We are going to be walking away from the unknown and viewing the unknown more as an adventure rather than it being something to fear in the unknown. When that happens, we're going to see this massive shift into accountability, massive shift into self-government, and our focus is going to be on increasing education. When we increase education and we shift the way our educational system prioritizes things, we are going to see a massive flux of an interest in saving the planet. So all of the planetarian problems right now will be fixed by the 6th perspectives. Naturally, it's just the way it's going to go. Once that happens, we can focus on the agenda of the seventh of the visionaries, the agenda of the seventh, eighth, ninth. But first, we got to fix the planet. So we're basically, what it's going to happen is we are leaving the age of industrialization and we're walking into the age of authenticity. That's really what's happening. We are at the end of an age. So the age of authenticity, let me tell you what I'm really doing here. People have a fear of the unknown. By me providing you with conscious awareness, it's no longer unknown. So you're no longer afraid of it because you understand it. So you're going to stop resisting the change because you understand it, because it's known and it makes sense. So we're walking into the age of authenticity. So the first stage of the age of authenticity is called awareness. It's when we all become aware and then we understand. When we understand, we heal, and there's going to be a transition. But we're going to talk about it. We're actually going to name it, which is part of the process. Once you name it, you change it. Once we change it, we very gently, via evolution, will just shift our priorities from A to B. When we do this, there will be the great shift that occurs. Now, there's going to be a rise in panic and fear from the foundationals. That's okay. This is the part, and this is really important. It is going to be the light worker's job to soothe them, because that is how you resolve this. Now, soothing actually has 4 parts to it. This is where a lot of people get parenting wrong. The first and largest priority of soothing is empathizing. Yes, it is scary. Change is scary, and it's okay. It's going to be all right. I'm scared too. But it's going to be okay because we understand it. The next one is validating. Do not invalidate. The third one is soothing. It's okay. It's going to be okay. And reassuring. Empathizing is the key. This is for parents, this is for healers, and this is for anybody who is a cultivator, teacher, everybody. This is how fear is managed. This is literally fear management. This is true for everybody, including you soothing yourself. This is how it's done. If you have fear, this is the process. Now, after you have the great shift, things are naturally going to just click and fall into place. Then it's going to be the stage of resolution. This is where we start to actually fix the problems. This is where it's going to just be a philanthropist's haven. We're going to solve fossil fuel at this stage. We are going to solve world peace at this stage. We are going to solve the Hoover Dam. If you do not know about the water crisis, Google it. We are going to resolve global warming. It is going to require the 6th perspective to do this. This is what will become when we enter the age of the 6th perspective. This is exactly, hippies are going to save the world. This is exactly what it's going to come down to. Fossil fuel, world peace, Hoover Dam, and global warming. Did I miss anything? Pollution. Did I miss anything, guys? Did I cover everything? If I have missed anything, let me know. So Operation Imagination has a round table, and that round table actually focuses on these exact things. And I'll explain later what the round table is, but that's going to come up a lot because this is Operation Imagination. So I'm going to go through this once more very quickly, just to kind of like highlight. So you have the age of authenticity. Stage 1 is going to be the awareness stage. That's what the Healing Garden does. It raises awareness through triadic healing. 2 is understanding. And then 3 is going to be the actual healing and transition. First on an individual level, and then it's going to grow to a community level where it's relationships. And then it's going to move into the entire world. These are stages, and they're already outlined in the Healing Garden. The next is the great naming. The naming is when we actually start talking about it and identifying it. The more you identify, the more it becomes known, and you eliminate the unknown. The fear of the unknown goes away. Then there is the change. People will stop resisting the change because they stop being afraid, because they understand it. Then there is going to be the great shift. That is when we start shifting everything from A to B, very gently, using natural evolution to do so. No war, just natural evolution. Then there's going to be light workers. We'll be in charge of basically soothing and comfort and teaching people how to comfort. That's important. No more enabling. No more internalizing, no more projecting. Boundaries. I have classes that teach this. And it's going to be focus on the self, focus on your social circle, your network, and then we work on the world. Self, network, world. That's it. Self, your network, and then the world. And then there is the resolution itself. When we start taking all of this, once we've gotten to that certain point, we're going to now shift our attention over to the philanthropists. That's when 6 perspectives are basically going to be handed all of this, and we're going to say, okay, fossil fuel, world peace, Hoover Dam, global warming, pollution, let's go take care of it. Homelessness, hunger, all that's going to be resolved. I already have a plan on how to get it done. Now, when all of that is done and set, the next stage, all of this is going to come from visionaries. That is from people who are in the 7th perspective and higher. These are the ones who form the blueprints. They will then be teaching this information to cultivators, 5th and 6th perspectives. The cultivators will be teaching it by example and soothing, like mothers, to the foundationals. The foundationals are going to kick and scream. The foundationals are the ones who are causing the wars. They're throwing a tantrum. They need to be soothed. We need everybody in the big picture. Visionaries, cultivators. Now, their psychology is deliberately set up so that they follow the majority. So if the majority starts to set the example of visionary, peace, calm, then the 4th perspective rule followers will immediately shift to reflect the new rules. But in order to do that, we need to establish the new rules. And then the 4th perspectives, who literally govern the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd perspectives, will reflect whatever it is we want them to at the 5th perspective and higher. Where do you want to be in this lineup? Decide that now. Where do you want to be? Do you want to be a visionary? Work with me. You want to be a cultivator working with the foundationals? Work with me. I already have assignments, locations, plans, everything already laid out. Foundationals, naturally by default, are just there. They are like children needing direction. They have a very predictable set of ways of how to be communicated with, how they need to be soothed, what it is they are lacking. I already have a plan. I already have it laid out. I already have everything in place. Now, what this means, going back to the original point of why I'm doing this particular video, is looking at the triangle 1 through 6, what it is we're actually doing. We are defining the I. Stages 1, 2, 3. Perspectives 1, 2, 3. We are defining the I. Perspective 1, I and I. Perspective 2, I and you. Perspective 3, we. Perspective 3s need to learn how to combine I and you to make a we. I'm going to say this one more time. The first perspective is learning about I, the self, identity. The second perspective is learning about community, the network, I versus you. The third perspective is I. It's learning we. It's learning how to combine I and you to make a we. Are you following what I'm saying? Perspectives 4, 5, and 6. Authority. Identity in the self is stage 1. Stage 2 is the authority. This is the philosopher's compass. Authority is I with authority, you with authority, we with authority. I, you, we. Which means biological deduction. and according to the philosopher's compass, that 7, 8, and 9 is imagination, creativity, creation. Oh, I'm getting closer to the 11th. I can feel it. It's closing up. 10th is closing up. Creation, 7, 8, 9. The energy. It's the energy. It is I with the energy, you with the energy. And now it's us learning how to work with the energy to create the we. So it's identity, authority, energy. This is one corner of the triangle. I can start to see it, and I'm scared. This is the big triangle. This is the big one. I can finally see it. I am in the 11th perspective. There it is. Oh, I see it. It's the philosopher's compass. Oh, I've got it. I'm scared. This is why I'm here, is because I'm scared. Okay, we got this. There is identity, and then there's authority, and then there's the energy. That's the big compass. And then identity is broken down into this, which is the I in the we and the you. And authority is the I, the you, and the we. And the energy is the I and the you and the we. Why am I so scared? I'm so fucking scared. So the first perspective is an evaluation of I. That's the first. I don't know what these are called. I'm going to have to name them. They don't exist yet. The second stage, perspectives 4, 5, and 6, is a study of authority. And the third stage, first stage, is the self. The second stage is authority. The third stage is energy. I don't know what's next. Oh, that's why I'm scared, because it's unknown. It's going to be okay. It's an adventure, right? It's an adventure. I love it here so much. Okay, so we have the self, we have the authority, and we have the energy. And when these three things combine, they go into a corner of the triangle. 10, 11, 12 is the next stage. And it's authority of the energy. It's self of the energy. It's authority of the energy. And then it's energy of the energy. And it's acceptance. I know logically what's coming next, and I don't. It's the resistance. You're supposed to accept it. But I really love it here. I really love it here. And I don't want to go. Okay, self, authority, and energy. This is the philosopher's compass. Logically, telepathy and telekinesis exist when we are energy. I don't know if a physical form can last beyond that point. And I can't stop asking the question, what happened to Christ? Now, I really don't want to move on to the 11th perspective. Okay. If I'm the goddess of manifestation, then I would have manifested a giant Dungeons and Dragons game where I just go through the cycle because it's fun. Because what do gods do with eternity, right? What would I do with eternity? I would create a playground. And I would call this playground Earth. And I would call it the game of life. The real game of life. And then I would have an eternal Dungeons and Dragons game where I just keep repeating the same game over and over again. And this is just one more. Because what do you do with immortality? You play. What if we have just not been aware of the game going on? And once you realize that it's all a game and that it all ends the same way, nothing really can hurt us now, can it? Everything is going to be okay. We've just been afraid because we forgot. I wrote a song, but I'm not going to sing it right now. I'm not ready to sing it to you yet. Okay, so that is this. That's a lot more than I thought. That's been in my head for a long time. Yeah. I can see how all of this is already going to end. It actually doesn't end. I'm still trying to figure out I am the Omega, the beginning and the end. I still can't figure out that part. It's driving me crazy. What does it mean? I am the Omega, the beginning and the end. I have a feeling that's 12th perspective stuff. All right. Triadic healing takes you through the first triangle of this, and then the second triangle, and then the third triangle, and then the fourth, and then the fifth, and then the sixth triangle, and it just keeps going on. That's why I called it triadic healing. It's actually the evolution and the steps that we go through from man to God to energy. But in order to do that, you have to set aside your conceit. Actually, you have to embrace conceit. We have a lot of little fail-safes in place psychologically to prevent us from pursuing this path because we're afraid of the path. So we create a lot of abuse to make sure we don't grow, because if we grow, we don't know what happens. It isn't death we're afraid of. It's never been death that we're afraid of. That's not what scares us. What happened to Christ? Where does he go? The problem is, I really love it here. I think I'm the only one on Earth who actually really loves Earth. It's a massive nature playground. The question that I can't figure out is if I am the goddess of manifestation or if we all are the goddess of manifestation. That's what I can't figure out. I can't figure out if I am the first. I, we, and I, you, all. I, you, all. Oh, I'm tired. Oh, yeah, I have a few days left of 10th perspective, and then I go into the 11th perspective. I'm really tired now. I'm really tired now. Authority is the 10th stage ethic, and authority allows you to claim what you are. And as soon as I did that yesterday, I was done with the 10th perspective, and now I'm shifting into the 11th. Because it's time for me to learn the next stage, which by logical deduction is you and authority. And then it will be we and authority. And then I will be ready to learn the energy. I energy. I'm so tired. You energy. We energy. I don't want to go. There's a reason why there were 12 doctors. Easter egg. Okay. Oh, I don't want to go. Easter egg. Thank you so much. I need to rewatch Doctor Who, the 11th Doctor. I see. Thank you, Discipulus. If you want to jump into this, take a look at the Linktree account. May the kindest of words always find you.